Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Ciel DeGuglielmo. Welcome to today's podcast. Have you ever noticed that most of the stress in our business doesn't come from what we're doing? It comes from what we're avoiding. Today, I want to talk about the conversations we avoid and why avoiding them almost always makes things harder, not easier. So recently, in the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, there was a really fantastic circle time with Ann Johnson and Laura Nelson, and we talked about setting boundaries. And I loved that they both gave us some ideas of things they did well and things they didn't do well. They're not just policies. Boundaries are conversations, and most boundaries break down before they're ever clearly communicated. I think that was one of the things that we really focused on in that circle time. The hesitation usually comes from either not wanting to disappoint someone, not wanting to have a conflict. If you're conflict avoidant, just raise your hand because I am. And you want to be easy to work with. And a lot of us are people pleasers. So we do whatever it takes to make things work. And unfortunately, this problem of not setting boundaries and not communicating showed up for me very, very clearly. So I have a friend who asked me to do a project that is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. It was something I was really very willing to do for her until I started the project. And then I realized it was a lot more involved than I realized, and I'm not enjoying it. She told me there was no hurry. I know several of you just cringed. And those of you who know me well said, why? Why would she not tell you? Why would she tell you that? What actually happened was I avoided reaching out. I delayed communicating with her. I knew I should check in with her. And in fact, reach out to her was on my to-do list day after day, week after week. I know you'll be shocked by this, but she reached out to me first. And then I felt really crappy that I had not reached out to her. It was not shocking to me because it's happened before, but guess what? The conversation did not get easier by waiting. And the mental weight of avoiding talking to her was so much worse than the actual conversation. And what bothered me the most about all of it was that she said to me, I was really worried that this was a terrible job and you didn't want to be doing it. Yep. So then I felt even worse that she was feeling guilty about asking me to do this job that she is paying me for, by the way. So we all avoid conversations. What conversations do we avoid? Pricing, timelines, scope creep. Those are all really difficult, but mostly in our minds. If we come right out and say, this is the price, and if we're asked to sharpen our pencils or can we do better, it really is simple to say, oh, I've given you my best price. Have any of you ever said, oh, let me take a look at it and I'll get back to you? Now you've just put more weight and burden on yourselves. Timelines are another issue. I still remember interviewing Elizabeth Gertis years ago, and that she was telling people her timeline was 16 to 18 weeks because she had young children and she knew that emergencies came up. And she was busy. The other thing is scope creep, and I think that this is not as much of a problem for custom window treatment workrooms as it is for interior designers, but it does happen. And you give an estimate for a pair of drapes and the estimate's been accepted, and then the client decides to add trim. And we don't say that's going to be extra. Some of us do. Some of you are listening to me and saying, Ciel, what is wrong with you? I haven't done that particular avoidant conversation in quite a long time. Mine is more the timeline and the delivery dates. So we think we're buying ourselves time by avoiding the conversation, but we're actually just extending the discomfort and more for ourselves. Although in the case of my friend, she was uncomfortable and wasn't sure what to do about reaching out to me. So I extended the discomfort for two of us. It was a twofer. Doing library circle time with Anne and Laura reminded me boundaries are proactive conversations, not reactive corrections. And those of you who know me know that I have been working on meditation for years, partly because I wanted to respond instead of react. Apparently, I need to do a little more meditation these days. Avoiding a conversation is a boundary issue. It means that we are not going to get the same communication back from the people that we're avoiding talking to. Clear communication early prevents resentment, rushed work, and awkward follow-ups. I think it's really important that we remember a boundary isn't just saying no. It's saying something sooner. And literally, I could have texted her weeks ago and said, hey, project is coming along great, taking a little longer than I expected, but you're going to be thrilled when it's done. She was cringing, worrying that she had put too much on me. I didn't do her or myself any favors by waiting. If there's a conversation that you've been avoiding this week, like a client maybe that you haven't gotten back to, or something you haven't updated, or a pricing conversation you're putting off, is there a way you can get it done and get it off your mental load? I know I've joked so much about procrastination and procrasta working and every other procrasta thing I do. It doesn't do me any favors. The conversation you're avoiding is probably much smaller than the space it's taking up in your head. I hope that after listening to this, you take one thing from it, and that is have the conversation sooner. So I know there have been a few more listener favorites and solo episodes recently. My technology problems are done. I have a new computer. I have podcast interviews rescheduled with the people whose recordings I lost, and some new exciting people. I recently had the absolute pleasure of going on a Real Workroom Tours road trip with Janelle Dack. And I got to see people in person that I have not seen in years. And I got to spend a little bit of time with some people whose company I really enjoy. No spoiler alerts today. Janelle is editing all of those, and they'll all be coming out soon. I can't wait for you to see them. But getting to see some of you in person and talking about some of the things that you do in your workrooms and in your life was so exhilarating, and I enjoyed it so much. And I did have to get a lot of work done ahead of time so that I could go on that trip, and there was no procrastinating there. But I have some great podcast interviews lined up, and I can't wait for you to hear from people. Thank you so much for indulging me in this conversation and for listening. I hope you have a great day.